Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. Today I want to showcase the build that I'm currently playing and working on, and it is a Lightning Blast Runemaster that is heavily focusing on the fragment of the Enigma with spark charges. This is an intelligence stacking Runemaster, and I would say before we talk about the gearing aspect, the blessings, the skill points, the passive trees and skill passive trees and whatnot, let's run a couple of echoes so you can see how this build plays like and if it might be a build that you would enjoy, because I am enjoying this one a lot. I'm currently on like corruption 200, is not that impressive, but I'm farming my blessings right now. On every single zone to get like the most out of my character before I then go to further push this character in corruption. My goal on this character would be at least 500 corruption and level 100. This is like my personal goal. It was originally at like 1000 corruption. I have no idea if I'm ever gonna see those kind of levels, but you know, in order to push corruption now, I just want to like min-max my character as good as possible with the tools that are available to me. For example, base levels, blessings, gearing, legendaries, you know, all these kind of things. So what we're using here is Lightning Blast, which is your chain lightning ability. In Path of Exile it would be Arc, in Last Epoch it's Lightning Blast. In other skills it's like, you guys know the kind of deal. It's just a sapping lightning skill that I converted actually into cold damage over here, but more of that later. But just so you know why my chain lightning, my lightning blast is actually looking like a frost blast more or less, because we are converting it into cold that also upgrades the visuals. What else do we have here? We have teleport, we have flame ward, we have snap freeze, and the runic invocation. I'm going to explain the runic invocation stuff in a bit, but what I want to showcase here is the elemental nova. So this is also utilizing elemental novas for multiple sources of reasons, also because it applies spark charges, as well as our teleport is triggering elemental novas with the elemental dawn node. So as soon as I teleport, I'm actually releasing all 3 elemental novas, because I also spec into all. You can here go, okay, I want to have ice nova, I want to have frost nova, like fire nova, lightning nova. So we're using all 3 of those for freezing, for shocking, for igniting, and to apply as many spark charges as possible. And then we have the runic invocation with the elemental starfield node that also says when I'm casting runic invocation, I'm also releasing these novas. So the main damage of this build coming from the fragment of the Enigma with the spark charges, and we apply those with teleport, proccing Ellie novas, with runic invocation, proccing Ellie novas, and with our Lightning Blast. And we also have Lightning Blast with 4 additional chains and 50% increased chaining range, and also applying spark charges. So it's actually a spark charge build, to say the least. So let's get our flame, our ward up, our runic invocation for the Rio Winds Frost Guard, and let's just, you know, sap enemies. And you see already how the spark charges are doing work here. All these explosions are from the spark charges. So it's a pretty much kind of a one-button build, when you would say the teleport as your movement skill is not really a damaging ability. But all I'm doing here is just spamming my my lightning blasts. I usually use my flame ward off cooldown because it gives me ward, basically energy shield. And that's basically all I'm doing. And also, if I need more damage, I can just right-click for my runic invocation to apply more spark charges with the elemental novas that I'm proccing. And overall, I think this is like so much fun and enjoyment to play, because these chain lightnings, they are really like chaining an entire screen, and it's super easy and fun to play. And for single target, I'm usually just teleporting on top of the enemy. I use my runic invocation, but we're having so much damage already. This was already the first echo, so I would say we're just gonna run another one. So this corruption like 200 is super easy. Also like the kind of like bossing with this build, just because all you want to do is get as many spark charges off as possible, and your single target rotation would evolve around like teleporting on the boss, runic invocation spamming, and then filling up with lightning blasts. And as defense layer, we also having like the flame ward to just get more of the ward basically. Another cool thing is, for being a Runemaster, when we're critting, we are actually gaining ward on top of that. So the more I'm finding now, I'm like on 3.5k. I'm using my double flame ward here. We're on 4k now. So when we're fighting, the more we fight, the more we cast and everything, you're gonna see my ward going up, up, up. We're now at like 5k. And I think in single target situations, I currently get about 8,000 ward or something. But this is like, my gear is still pretty much on the early side. I feel confident enough to make like a build guide around it where I explain how everything is working, because that will most likely not change. It's just like the gearing parts stacking more and more intelligence. I think I can get up to like 170 or so intelligence, which will give me a lot more damage, a lot more survivability and everything. So single target, runic invocation, porting on top of the enemy, getting some lightning blasts off, and then just let this stuff explode. And as I said, I really enjoy this build, and I think it's very strong, and I think that you're gonna enjoy this build as much as I do, or hopefully at least. So let's open up the trash boxes here, and yeah, let's talk about the build itself. I already explained like the core principles of the spark charges. So what about, let's say, the gearing aspect, or where do we start here, since this is like my kind of first build guide for last Epoch? Let's go over the passives, for example, first, right? So passives, then the skill points from the skills itself, and then we go over the gearing process, and that should probably, hopefully do it. The LE planner is obviously in the description below if you want to see my current or current state. So we're spending 20 points into the Mage Mastery to unlock our other like subclasses, right? We are going heavily into intelligence. Intelligence is basically scaling the entire build. We scale cast speed, we scale flat damage, we scale critical strike chance, we scale ward retention, we scale... You just want to have as much intelligence as possible, and basically scale off that. So we're gonna take 8 points Arcanist, 1 point into Scholar, 1 point into Reactive Ward, 4 into Warden, 1 into Rune of Winter for converting our Lightning Blast into Cold, and then Mage Flurry for the increased cast speed. Because the more cast speed we have, the more charges we can apply per minute or whatever, per second, whatever you want to call it. And the main reason why are we going to convert our Lightning Blast into Cold, as I said, Lightning Blast is the skill that we are using the most, but it's not dealing the damage, right? The reason why we do that is because of our runic invocation. And basically what I want to get is a Cold Fire Cold rune to enable the Riowind's Frostguard rune word in that case, right? And if I have Lightning Blast as lightning skill, then I would like use or get like lightning runes, and I don't want to have that, right? But we're also using the, what is it called? The Immutable Order, which I'm going to go over later on why my skills and why everything is sorted up and why can I only generate the runes exactly the way I actually want to have them, right? So let's continue here. Let's go to the Sorcerer. We are having the 8 points into Calculated Destruction for more intelligence. Here we have the increased cast speed per stack of the Arcane Momentum, as well as the Essence of Celerity for the extra movement speed. And then we go down here to Runemaster and the Rift Bolt for Lightning Pen and also the Lightning Damage Leech. So let's take a look at the Runemaster tree here. We have Unsealed Mana to get over to the Arcane Focus, but this is also good because cast speed is really strong on this build. Here more intelligence and ward gain on direct spell cast. As I said, the faster we cast, the more ward we also gain. Here is just like flat less damage taken, which is like super strong. Then we go here with intelligence with a catalyst. Here we have critical strike multiplier with a wand, which is like a whopping 72%. Is actually really insane. Then over here, flat intelligence. There's like so many skill points where you get intelligence and the entire build scales off it, which is pretty nice. Then we have the rune word Avalanche, because we are using Lightning Bolt as the or Lightning Blast as the cold version, so that procs this one. Then we have ward gained on crit. As well as like more crit multi per 100 ward versus bosses and stuff like that. So all the scaling, it's like entire synergy. And then there is here a cool trick. I cannot remember which video I saw that was explaining that, but this is actually so 5-head. Usually what you would do on like the majority of Runemaster builds, at least I barely see any Runemaster builds that are not using the, the Frost Wall. Frost Wall is very strong. I personally have never played with it because it looks kind of clunky, but you can do some very cool stuff with this. but it also brands the enemy, and branded enemies take increased damage, right? But this is what you can do here. Here we have like more damage against bosses, which is super fine. And then here we have the Brand of Deception, right? And when we spend 5 points into here, it says lightning skills that cost at least 15 mana apply Brand of Deception. The Brand of Deception is giving us Pen with damage over time, which is 100% useless for us, right? But we need that brand to actually gain the Celestial Doom node here, where we gain ward gain versus branded bosses and spell damage to branded bosses. So this is like a massive more multiplier. So instead of playing with the Frost Wall and putting the walls on the enemy to brand it, we can now just use proc this with a skill, a lightning skill that costs at least 15 mana. And now you might wonder, which lightning skill is costing here 15 mana? Because Snap Freeze is 8 mana cost, Flame Ward is a fire skill, our Lightning Blast doesn't even cost any mana, but it is our Elemental Nova. So if we go here real quick to the Ele Nova skill tree, we're gonna see on the tooltip it has 16 mana cost, and as soon as I use like Teleport, Runic Invocation that procs the Elemental Novas, it will proc a fire, a lightning, and a cold one. So this is the cold, or at least the lightning nova with at least 15 mana cost that we need to actually brand the enemy to gain this like massive damage bonus from Celestial Doom that I'm currently putting my last points in here. It's only 4, so the next couple points until 7 will go over here, like the next 3 points. And this basically rounds up our passives over here and 0 in Spellblade. So let's talk about my abilities over here. I'm using Teleport because the Fragment of Enigma also says when you cast Teleport, you apply a Spark Charge to all enemies around the destination. So Teleport is applying Spark Charges. Then we have the Elemental Dawn with the 2 nodes over here where it says Teleport casts Elemental Nova halfway between your arrival and when you start casting and stuff like that. So what it essentially does is I press Teleport and I'm spamming these Novas around, right? And as I just said, the Novas also going to apply Spark Charges, which is pretty nice. Usually people are, this is like things, you know, everybody plays a little bit different. For example, people like to go a lot of like tankiness with Teleport. So every time they use Teleport, they're getting a buff, and this buff is boosting their resistance, their armor, and stuff like that. I'm a bit weird on that. I'm like super quality of life based, so I'm gonna try to make my character as tanky as possible without any buffs available or on, right? That means that's the reason why I don't use any of the big defensive layer stuff. All I want to do is to get like tankiness out of it, like increased cooldown recovery with the Elemental Dawn, and then like for example here ward retention, ward gain per point of intelligence, and ward gain when you teleport. So every time I teleport, I'm getting a bunch of like ward as well, right? But I want to use it. I don't want to like randomly die because I just forgot to teleport to keep up my defense. This is like the core idea. You should definitely, if you want to, because the cooldown at the moment is 2.5 seconds, and I think the buff is lasting like 4 seconds or something. So you can definitely keep this up all the time. But I personally, you know, I'm always somebody that uses a movement skill if I want to. So if I'm fighting the pack, you know, and then I'm done with the pack, I'm teleporting around, or for single target to get more spark charges and novas off, right? But as I said, this is just like my personal flavor where I say I want to have a tanky character without all these buffs attached to it. So if it's not available, then I'm still gonna survive, right? Then we have the Flame Ward, which is basically a defensive shield more or less, where you gain ward per second and ward retention and additional goodies like less damage, like less hit damage and elemental damage taken. So it's basically just a massive, what do you say, damage reduction and ward gain ability with 2 stacks skilling into the dual ages. So it's like super nice to have like this emergency button if there's like a tank buster hit or something, where you can just like use your flame ward and get a like additional ward and stuff like that and less damage taken. So it's like super nice. Then we have our lightning blast. Early on, like what I do is first I go here to closed circuit, because this is actually making this stack more or less, right? Every time I'm like casting, I also have a chance to get it back, so it flows back to me and it's actually buffing me. So if I'm just casting, you see that my stats go up, my crit goes up, my spell damage goes up and everything. And this is all from this note over here with the closed circuit. So 2 points over here, 1 point over here, and then I moved into the spark charges. So lightning blast. Hits have a chance to apply a spark charge, and here massive damage multiplier, 200% more damage with the spark charges, which is super nice. Then afterwards going into the hypercharge for the chance of a quadruple cast and double cast and stuff like that. So sometimes I press it one time and then it just like goes off like quite often when it procs, like increasing the amount of charges that I put on. Then we have lightning attunement, which is actually super nice. So when I'm casting, I think, or when I'm hitting enemies, I have like only a 5% chance to getting lightning, like the lightning ages on, right? But the amount of cast speed that I have makes it like, I would say almost 100% uptime on the lightning ages, giving me a lot of like less damage taken and stuff like that. Is like super comfy. I really like this node a lot, and it also scales with the idols, because the best way I think is like increased cast speed while you have lightning ages, and I'm trying to stack those as good as I can while trying to fit in some other things that it goes around like with the lightning ages with like resistance or life or something like that. So it comes together quite well. And once you have unlocked your another like a helmet with like a +2 lightning blast, I could go into the ages, but what I really like are the last points that you will not have if you don't have a plus level of your lightning blast. And this is 2 additional points in arcing power and the surging influence with chaining range. These 3 notes here, these 3 points, so I usually have like 2 points in lightning attunement, but I skipped 1 out here getting, so I skipped 1 point over here, and 2 from the helmet, giving me 3 points, so 2 more points in arcing power and the surging influence for chaining range, and this makes it feel so freaking good while mapping. Your lightning blasts are actually chaining like almost the entire screen. You know, when there is nodes where you just click the middle and there's constantly monsters spawning, I just like hold down my E key for the lightning blast, and they just zap around and attach spark charges, and everything explodes in chain reactions. It's really good. Then Ellie Nova, as I said, we are getting all 3 Novas, then increased damage, we have the increased area, and then it's important to get 4 points into Glacial Might to give it a plus mana cost, so we are actually triggering the Brand of Deception over here, right? Because we need to have like a skill that, a lightning skill that costs at least 15 mana. We don't care about the on-hit damage of Elemental Nova too much. It's applying spark charges, and it also applies then Freeze Shock Ignite, which we then will need for our Mad Alchemist Ladle. So more negative ailments on the enemy equals more spell damage equals more damage. So this is that. And then we have Runic Invocation, the mastery of the Runemaster, and this is basically focused around Elemental Starfield, some less damage taken with cooldown recovery speed and stuff like that. So all the good stuff with the chance to repeat your Runic Invocation, and also the Immutable Order. This one is the one that makes Runemaster so comfy to play, at least in my opinion, because on the first side when I started playing this character, I was like, bro, if I have to like remake my rune words all the time, and if I fail, I'm not gonna get the result that I want. So what Immutable Order does is it copies the runes that you have in your skill bar, basically, right? So what does it read exactly? Whenever you gain a rune, instead of the depending of the type of skill you cast, it always results in your sequence of runes mirroring the first 3 skills on your action bar from left to right. That means if I say I want to have Riowind's Frostguard for my build, which is the cold fire cold version, I'm actually putting the skills in my bar as you see over here. I have Snap Freeze for cold, Flame Ward for fire, and Lightning Blast for another cold. And don't forget, we converted our Lightning Blast into cold damage because of the Rune of Winter. So now it's always gonna be Frost, Fire, Frost, right? So I can cast whatever I want. Usually I would just like generate more and more Frost runes because all I'm doing is like spamming Lightning Blast. But it will always make this exact order, so I don't have to worry about anything. So I can just cast my Runic Invocation and get my Riowind's Frostguard up, right? And then I'm just spamming Lightning Blast, and I'm always gonna have the perfect rune. So I don't know if I would enjoy Runemaster as much if I wouldn't have this one note over here that basically prevents me from failing my rotation, basically, right? Good. We talked about the passive tree and the skill points over here. Let's talk about the gearing real quick. So my gear is like in the early stages, I would say. So core items, I would say, are these two over here, right? Fragment of the Enigma, as I said, with the spark charges, scaling off intelligence, right? +2 flat lightning damage for spark charge per intelligence, also +1 to lightning skills. We have the teleport with the spark charge and also the spark area of effect and stuff like that. So it's really, really strong, right? So intelligence, stacking, scales here, everything when it comes to damage. Then we go over to the Mad Alchemist Ladle. This is dropped by the Exiled Mages. And what this does is we get 1% cast speed per 2 intelligence. As well as 6% more damage per negative ailment on the target. This is basically all the debuffs, right? We have Slow, Frailty, Armor Shred, Electrify, and Poison over here, which is already 5, so there's 3 missing. And we have sources to apply additional ones coming now from the Ali Nova with the Freeze and Shock and Ignite, as well as branding the enemy, as well as like you can add chance to bleed, you can add anything, but I'm not sure how many debuffs I'm actually applying to the enemy. I think it's like 8, 9, or 10 or something like that. As long as it's more than 8 or 8 or more, you're gonna get the full damage out of the Mad Alchemist Ladle, and I think this is like very, very strong when it comes to that, because this is like, what, 48% more spell damage or something? 24, 48% more spell damage, and massive amounts of cast speed while just stacking intelligence, and this is also why I'm casting so ridiculously fast, and it's gonna be even faster once we go over, like, once I'm getting more and more upgrades, right? Then the next good thing is here, the Twisted Heart of Ukeiros, and this basically makes that every time you cast a spell, you're getting a ward for that, basically, right? Also, as cast speed, I have to figure out, like, find another relic here to actually merge it into a legendary. Basically, core stats when it comes to merging, like, or creating legendaries, you want to have intelligence wherever it can fit, on your helmet, on your chest, on your boots, on your gloves, on your relic, on your rings, on your everywhere you can get it, right? The next important stat, in my opinion, would be either like critical strike multiplier, because we don't have too much of that stat. You can always throw in cast speed. You can get additional armor shred. I think I have some armor shred somewhere, or was on my old amulet, which is also like very, very strong. So those would be the 3 stats that would go, I think, on amulet, on the weapon, and on the belt, I think. I think those are the ones that cannot have intelligence on that, and I think the fragment, the offhand as well, not, right? But I think helmet, body armor, both rings, gloves, boots, and the offhand can have intelligence merged on it, and you want to get, as I said, as much intelligence as possible. Other than that, the helmet is with Lightning Blast and some other stuff that you can get. Same with every other item slot, right? From the rings, I think best would be like intelligence, spell damage, and like double resistance, for example. And there is even a base, I think the Opal ring, not sure though, that gives you +2 all attributes, which also gives you intelligence, right? Gloves I used before was just like the same with like just intelligence with resistance or anything like that, maybe some extra health and stuff. But I got the Swelling of the Erased with actually T7 intelligence and some physical resistance, and I thought this is actually quite nice because it also has attributes and cast speed, and as I said, cast speed is like really, really strong. This is like not necessary at all. It's just like what I have laying around, because usually you find like a rare item that you have, right, and then you go over and upgrade it to a unique, and then you say like, hey, I found like a double exalted item that is better than the unique, but then a unique with legendary power would potentially then be better or stronger than my exalted item, and then this could get replaced with a double or triple exalted item later on. So it's always like trying to get the most out of your character. And there's one thing I want to mention here. We're not really going for crit avoidance, we're going for bonus damage from critical strikes with the catalyst, right? So we're getting 48 over here, so we're missing like 52 to be crit immune, and since we have that built into our passive tree, there's like not really a point. If you get like 50% crit damage reduction on your tree, why would you go for 100% crit avoidance? Because these two are doing kind of the same, but they're still different stats. And I have here exalted reduced bonus damage right now with some crit multi. It would be better if there would be actually exalted intelligence. For obvious reason, it's a bad base, but my gear is nowhere to be where I would like to have it, right? Idols, anything that, like, in the best case, you want to have like these cast speed with lightning aegis, maybe spell damage flat, maybe resistance, whatever you can get, right? My idols are nowhere perfect whatsoever. I'm just like, if I find one and I need resistance, I'm gonna slap that on. If I need more health, I slap that on. You know, whatever you need, you can play around here with the idols to like get your character capped. I'm missing a bit of Fizz, a bit of Void, a bit of Necrotic, but overall I'm pretty happy with the current state of my resistance. One cool thing here is also the phasing huge arcane idol of Sparks, which has plus 3 seconds of stun immunity after using teleport. My teleport is a 2.5 second cooldown, so if I'm constantly using my teleport, I'm actually stun immune, and I think this is actually a pretty neat tech as well here, sacrificing this like 4x1 idol slot here to get stun immune on top of that, right? Blessings, this is what I currently farm. I only have like my increased experience yet and my 20 all res, and I think currently I'm farming the empowered version of Lightning Shred. What else would I go? I think somewhere in the top side there is flat armor, and on the right side here is somewhere with percent armor, so armor value is actually quite valuable in this game. But I think at the moment those two are the regions that I finished, like with the, because I want to grind for level 100, so the extra experience I think is actually a bit overkill, but whatever. The all resistance here, Lightning Shred, and then armor over here and percent armor, and I think the rest are only like shard drop rates or something like that, or just loot overall, so that doesn't really affect the character whatsoever. Good. Is there anything else that I need to talk about? I think we pretty much showcased everything, how everything is working together, how it scales, playstyle. You know, if you have any questions, then let me know in the comments, and I will hope that I can answer them, because I'm not a professional Last Epoch player just yet. I'm still fighting my way through and trying things out, but so far I had an amazing journey with this character, and I, yeah, can't wait to like continue pushing this character, hopefully finding like better items, better legendaries, better exalted items, and all the stuff that I would like to have to then keep on pushing the corruption after I'm done with my blessing grind. Alright, thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.